Hello and welcome to the Indie Incursion podcast, episode 8, I believe. I'm not even 100% sure. I'm fairly certain it's episode 8, not including our Greg Lobanov interview, which you guys should check out. We actually put that up earlier this week. This is the podcast all about indie games and their creators, now actually about their creators. My name is Vaughn Hyde. I'm really just known as the ghost formerly known as Vaughn Hyde, because that's my deal now. I am, of course, joined by my good friend Josh that joins me every podcast, and we actually have a special guest today. His name is Jake Decker. Woo! You work for GameSpot, correct?
I do. I'm not an indie developer, so I can't tell you about indie games I'm making, unfortunately.
Dang it.
But I can talk about games.
Kick them off.
I thought you were an indie developer. Yeah.
Get him out of here. What happened?
Why are we even doing this podcast anymore? What do you do for GameSpot?
I am a video producer, so if you go on to GameSpot's YouTube channel, or I guess just GameSpot's video page, some of those videos I've probably made, I've edited, or if you're lucky enough, you might actually hear me. Sometimes I do VO for them, but most of the time I just edit.
That's pretty cool.
How did you...
I edit these podcasts.
Yeah. Man, you might as well do exactly what he does, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah, I'm just so good at it.
Before I worked at GameSpot, I edited a lot of podcasts, so much so that I got burnt out on editing podcasts. So I have so much respect for you doing it week in, week out.
Suck it, Josh. He respects me.
Damn, man. All right, I see how it is. I actually wanted to ask, just because I know a lot of people are always interested on how they get into the game industry, I was just curious from background story of how you got into GameSpot or what you did before that.
Yeah, so I went to school for film production, not really interested in the game industry. I played a lot of games, but I spent most of my time writing and directing and editing short films for school. And then I started writing about games, and I was like, wait a second, I can probably put these two skills together. And that's what I did. I did that for a couple years. I joined a website that a friend of mine had made. And then we kind of all put our heads together, John included, who now runs Parallax. We put our heads together and came up with a website called The Game Bolt, where I did most of the video stuff. I had some help with a guy. I had some help from a guy named Jason Betthauser, who I still talk to every now and then. And we did like the podcast. We did all the video stuff, video reviews, whatnot. And I did that for about a year and a half or so. And then someone pointed me in the direction of an internship opening up at GameSpot, and I live in Southern California, and GameSpot's located in Northern California, so like it wasn't too crazy to get up north a little bit. So I applied, and somehow I got the job. It still surprises me to this day that I was the one picked. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I can go into detail, but I don't know how much detail you want.
No, that sounds good. That's really cool, though. I mean, I guess they picked the right one because you stuck around for a while, so good on them.
Yeah, I've been here almost 4 years now, I think. No longer an intern, believe it or not. They kept me as an intern for a while, though.
Was it a paid internship or I would assume so.
So it's a paid internship, but the catch is that it was in San Francisco, so it was like null. Like I pretty much just made no money, just paid for rent, and that was about it.
That's basically the story I've heard from like 90% of games media professionals. They're just like, yeah, no, it was in San Francisco, so I don't actually make any money.
Yeah, it was weird. Like
at all.
When they were like, this is how much you're going to make as an intern. I was like, all right, that sounds pretty good. Like that's more than anything I've done. And then I got my first rent. My first month of rent was due, and I was like, oh, that's the catch.
Like, so it's ramen. Sweet. I'm so happy I'm going to live on noodles for the rest of my life.
Plenty of ramen. Plenty of, like going up to my roommate and be like, hey, I see you made a lot of food there. Want to pass any over to me? Wouldn't always work, though.
What? You didn't just, like, my roommate, when I look away, he just steals my food.
I thought about it.
I guess it's just not
you have proper etiquette.
Yeah. What a nice guy. Not stealing food.
Yeah, so nice. So what have you guys been playing this week? I, myself, have sadly not played any indie games. This week isn't because Best Buy effed up my Hollow Knight thing or anything. I just have not had any time, really. I played a little bit of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and that's about it. Just not much. It's exciting. I'm so glad that I told that story. What have you been playing, Josh?
So I've been playing a couple of things. I picked up Celeste because I haven't played it, even though I've heard so many good things about it. I never did it, and then now that the Game Awards are coming up, I was like, I really got to try this game. Everyone's talking about it being Game of the Year. I love platformers. I'm kind of surprised I didn't pick this up even sooner. And I've been playing the first, I think I'm through the 3rd chapter now. And Jesus, this game is like really tough. I wasn't expecting it to come in this strong. Like even from the 2nd act, when there's like this chase scene, it just ramps up in difficulty so quick. And it's like nice the way they do it though, because I'm comparing that to The Messenger, which is my other top like indie game of the year choice. But with The Messenger, whenever you died, the game would make fun of you. You'd have this little guy who was flying around you, and he would like say something, witty to basically be like, I gotta beat this. But with this game, Celeste, it gives you like this encouragement at the same time. So it's like, oh, you could do it. Don't worry. Dying is just learning. Like it's very funny the different approach they took at it because of the story behind Celeste. But it still is very daunting when I completed chapter 3 and I looked and I was at like plus 200 deaths and I was like, Jesus, I suck. I was like, I gotta get better at this. But it's a lot of fun. The mechanics are really tight. It can get annoying at times because you have to be kind of spot on for a bit, but I refuse to use the assist mode. I want to do it. I'm not no baby. I'm gonna get through it.
The story is really good as well. It doesn't kind of pick up, I think, until halfway, but once you really get into it, it goes some really cool places.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. You could definitely see with the first couple of chapters that it's trying to edge into that of being a better person and having like this, sort of doom and gloom about yourself, weighing yourself down, so to speak. But yeah, as far as chapter 3 goes, there's really not much to it. It's just kind of interesting to see. I only know because you hear so much already since this game has been out for a while now, but I'm definitely interested to see where the story goes later on.
What have you been playing, Jake?
I have been playing The Return of the Obra Dinn. I think I'm getting the title right.
Cool.
Return of Obra Dinn?
Return of Obra Dinn. That's what it is. I always forget. I just call it Obra Dinn because there's no other game called Obra Dinn.
Yeah.
So
does that game hurt your eyes?
It doesn't hurt my eyes, but it hurts my brain a lot.
Okay. Well, your eyes are pretty close, so same thing, right?
It is daunting. It is really daunting. There's like 60 people. You need to figure out who they are, cause of death, and it's really neat and clever. It feels like a big, I think like Jason Schreier had tweeted, it's like a big puzzle box, and I can definitely see that. However, for me personally, it's not really my kind of game, but I definitely see the appeal. So I've been playing that a little bit.
So what's the, sorry to cut you off, but what's like the main mechanic in the game? Like, what are you actually doing? Is it just like picking up clues and trying to figure stuff out? Like, how does it work? Is it like point and click?
So you have this stopwatch. I guess it's a stopwatch that lets you see someone the moment they die, see what happens to this body the moment they die. Mm-hmm. So you activate that and you can basically, you get like this a little bit of text with voiceover, and then it cuts to the moment they die, and it is usually pretty gruesome, like someone got their head smashed by a cannon, or like Jesus. Torn apart by like a monster, some stuff like that. And yeah, I'd say that's the main mechanic. It's interesting, and then you're kind of like frozen in that time, and you can kind of explore and pick up clues to figure out who these people are, and then you guess, and you have a notebook where you can enter what you think their name is, what you think their cause of death is, and who you think killed them or what killed them. And then once you figure out 3 correctly, there'll be a little noise that triggers, and that's how you know that you did 3 correctly. However, if you don't do it correctly, you could just be like going for hours.
Oh, Jesus.
Banging your head against the wall, trying to figure out what is what. But when you do get it, you feel like a genius. But it's tough. It is like not the kind of game that you can be doing other things for. Like I was kind of tired and texting a little bit, and I was so lost. And then I picked it up again and put more investment into it, and I was like, all right, I follow this more, but still, this is overwhelming.
It sounds like
but it's very good.
It sounds like a really difficult single-player version of Clue.
Yeah, that's a good description. I was talking to a coworker today, and he was saying he's been playing it with his girlfriend, which sounds pretty ideal to play with someone else, because then you can put your head together and like, I missed a lot that someone else may not, so it would be nice to have someone there to kind of review evidence and talk over some of your hypotheses.
That's how I experience most like criminal stuff. So yeah, I watch Law and Order SVU with my girlfriend all the time.
There you go. It's like the same
Always
thing,
guess
except you're on a
people.
boat.
Except you're on a boat trying to find out who murdered people. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. I was also playing Mutant Year Zero. I'm just playing the demo right now. I think the game comes out in about a week, but it's kind of like an XCOM strategy game, but more like Mario plus Rabbids and how you like walk throughout the world and engage in different battles. Yeah, I'd say it's like a dark Mario Rabbids, I guess, with like anthropomorphic animals that talk and kind of curse. It's strange but fun.
I mean, it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it was far different than I thought it was going to be. Like, every trailer and everything I've seen for it is just kind of like seemingly not necessarily including gameplay. So now that you say it's like a deep, dark Mario Rabbids, I'm like, what the fuck? That's so weird.
Yeah, it is strange when you first look at it because you see these animals that don't really fit this really dark post-apocalyptic world, that it just seems kind of strange. But it is fun if you like those, what I've played so far based on the demo, if you like those tactical RPG sort of style games, it's definitely right up your alley.
Are the enemies also animals, or is it like animals fighting a bunch of humans?
They're like, I forget exactly what they're called. They're like some sort of mutants. Oh man, I don't remember what they're called. But yeah, they're like humanoid things.
It's the X-Men.
Yeah.
So a duck fighting the X-Men. Got it. Good game.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Well, now this game just sounds amazing. I have to play it. This is what Crystal Dynamics has been working on, actually, it turns out. No big deal. It's not even an Avengers game. It's Howard the Duck kills the Avengers.
That's exactly what I thought of. I was like, it's Howard the Duck.
Speaking of Howard the Duck, I think it's about time we actually got into the news of today, which is just the most amazing segue I've ever heard. I mean, that's just my opinion. For our first story, we're actually going to jump over to IGN. This written by Gabe Gerwin. It's Guacamelee 2, new character, skins, and challenge level enter the fray. I don't know why titles are always so weird for me. I don't know. It's just an odd title. But the gist of it is available now on PlayStation 4 and PC. Guacamelee 2 is receiving 2 new DLC packs over the next couple weeks, featuring additional playable character skins, as well as a new challenge level. Guacamelee 2 will add the 3 Amigos character pack for $3 tomorrow, which is an awesome price, which gives you the chance to play as bosses El Muñeco is what I'm going to say that is. Oipek and Jaguar Javier instead of the hero Juan. It looks like they each have their own strengths and weaknesses. I don't know if that means it's going to change up the gameplay a whole lot. And the challenge level is actually dropping on December 7th for $4. And it's tasks you with working through a floating temple with the help of 5 lucha trainers. Completing a challenge will reward you with a particular trainer skin to use the main game. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time reading right now. Yeah, basically you're getting a bunch of skins in a challenge mode for $7 in the coming weeks, which is pretty exciting. Have either of you guys played Guacamelee 2 and you're just super stoked, you're just freaking out about this DLC?
I played the first one and it was one of my favorite games of 2012, 2013. And I've been meaning to play Guacamelee 2, but it just came out at such a weird time.
Yeah, I'm at the same place right there. So I've played the first one, I loved it, and I just have not picked up the second one. But it's definitely something that I'm really looking forward to, especially with the next part of this news story, which is it coming to the Switch soon. But I'm a little confused on this article just because, and the way they said it, is it that each one of the different characters is $3, or is it that $3 for all of them? 3 anime.
I would assume it's a character pack.
Okay. chance to play as the bosses. Okay. Someone, I forget where, but I was looking a little bit further, and I think someone mentioned that it was for each of them, but maybe they were wrong, and that's what's tripping me up. But I mean, for $3, that's crazy good. I wonder though, like the way you mentioned it, of having their own strengths and weaknesses, how much of a difference that changes gameplay. Because I'm thinking like, with Hollow Knight, they created, I can't remember the different types, but like the character with the scythe and the Plague Knight, and having like a totally different level and having them go through the world in a different atmosphere. I doubt, especially because of the $3 price, that that's going to be what this is. But it's at least nice knowing that, if I do pick up this game now, I'm getting a lot more bang for my buck, because it's, it's only $3 extra, so it'll definitely be worth it.
I'm assuming you meant Shovel Knight.
What did I say? Oh, I said Hollow Knight?
You said Hollow Knight. Yeah,
yeah, I meant Shovel Knight.
What?
I was like...
Yeah, they had the King of Cards DLC, which allowed you to play as King Knight, and then there was Spectre Knight and Plague Knight. Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's Plague Knight. Yeah, they're all really awesome. If you guys would like to, you can actually pick up plushes of them on for fans by fans. No big deal. Cool. I'm not saying at all that I own all of them,
but you do.
I'm definitely saying that I own the majority of them. Yeah.
Anyway, yes, I meant Shovel Knight. I don't know how different they're going to be in that sense, but definitely not Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you just get to play through the main story as the different bosses, which would be similar to how Shovel Knight... I mean, not similar to how Shovel Knight did it, because Shovel Knight was entirely different scenarios, but right. You naturally just knew the strengths and weaknesses of each one of them because you beat them. So you're like, okay, cool. Plague Knight just throws bottles everywhere, and he does all sorts of stuff with alchemy, so I know what his strengths and weaknesses are. So I'm assuming the strength and weaknesses will kind of come up naturally. It seems that the Switch release of Guacamelee 2 is actually coming out December 10th, from what I understand, which is pretty exciting for Switch people, especially because there's seemingly a bunch of Switch games coming out every week. Bunch of Switch indies, which I definitely know about.
It's also pretty cool because it's coming out for 30% off for anyone who bought Guacamelee 1 on the Switch, which is pretty cool. The only one thing, and I tried reaching out to the team, I forget what their name is, it's like Drinkbox for the Guacamelee team, but I haven't heard anything from them. I'm not sure if that DLC is included in the Switch version, or if you're even able to order those DLC for Switch.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you can't purchase them at all until later, I once again, I'm making an assumption, but I would assume that you'd be able to purchase it, because I don't think it's a different edition. It's just Guacamelee 2, so I think you'd be able to purchase the additional characters and stuff. But once again, all just speculation. For our next story, we are actually staying on IGN. This written by Jordan Serrani. I'm assuming I said his name right. This is No Man's Sky Visions update adds more colorful worlds and new life forms. This was actually posted on the 21st, which, I mean, we could have talked about and probably should have talked about last week, because this was a week ago, but I didn't see it. I think it literally popped up right as we were recording. But I'm actually a pretty big No Man's Sky fan, and the fact that they keep updating the game over and over again, I think is amazing. It's actually nominated for an award at the Game Awards, which I think is really cool. I think it's best reoccurring game. It's something weird. It's in there with Fortnite, so it's definitely gonna lose, which I'm really sad about. Yeah, just everything going up against Fortnite. It's basically they're gonna lose. But it looks like it's going to include a lot of really cool stuff, a broader color palette for different worlds, new flora and fauna, which just naturally kind of show up, but supposedly it's predatory fauna and deadly flora, which I don't know how I feel about that. That kind of creeps me out. But just all sorts of amazing stuff. There's also going to be a community research mission that calls for players around the world to work together in order to collectively reach an objective. Once reached, all players will unlock new gear, emotes, and more. This is really cool, and this is on top of the news that last month they actually had they released the Abyss update, which allowed you to go underwater and build your base underwater, and did this whole thing underwater, if you didn't expect that. But I think this is awesome. Did you guys get into No Man's Sky at all? I think I talked to you a little bit about it, Josh, before, but I was really wondering if Jake got into No Man's Sky and if he was totally burned on it like everybody else.
So I played it when it first came out, and I wasn't burned, but I wasn't expecting as much as everyone else. I don't think I liked it a lot, but I really got into it with the next update, and it's super impressive how much they've put into this game since launch. I know people are kind of down on the idea of releasing a game and then building on it after the fact, but I think it works particularly well. It worked particularly out well with this game. Especially with like that whole new story, because I played it at launch and then I played it again for next, and playing through that story, seeing like all the new additions, all the stuff that had been cleaned up from launch was fantastic. I'm actually very excited to get back into No Man's Sky again this year so I can test out Visions, and I also missed out on the Abyss. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy because when I read this article, I was looking over and I was like, man, we've been doing the podcast for a long time, because I remember doing the Abyss update like as one of our first episodes, and then I like looked at the timestamp of it of when Abyss came out, and I was like, oh no, they're just cranking stuff out real quick. Like this is so much content in such a short amount of time. It's really a shame that they had such a slow start if they're able to crank all this stuff out now. So I don't know where all of this development is coming from out of nowhere, but it's really cool.
When Next came out, didn't they mention that they were going to try to do weekly updates? I know a lot of those are like really small, but even those little updates seem like they're, I don't know, being put to great use, because it seems like there's still a ton of people that are playing this every day. And even like I see Sean Murray tweet every now and then, like, yeah, there's still like 1 million people who play vanilla No Man's Sky on PS4 to this day. It's like, holy crap, update your console, but also that's cool.
There's somebody out there that's just playing by themselves, no vehicles whatsoever other than their ships.
Yeah,
You're just like, dude.
Apparently there's like an insane amount of people.
Wow, the antisocial bunch.
I guess so.
Did you guys ever see the article about the people who committed genocide in No Man's Sky? Like, they created an entire war.
What?
No.
Yeah, there was an article on Polygon about it. Like, it was less than a year ago or something like that. But yeah, there were players that basically like launched this full-scale war between two different like warring factions, and they ended up like basically destroying an entire planet and committing genocide. It was a big deal. I was like, what the? And this is, I think this was actually before the, this is before the next update, so it's just two, like, it was a community of players doing so separately, I think, just on their own, like, talking to each other about it. Or, I think this was actually when you could see wisps, because that was a thing before multiplayer was. That they eventually updated it to where you could just see, like, weird little wisps of people, which is odd. I don't know. Yeah, it's really odd, but that's what the biggest shame for No Man's Sky going up against games like Fortnite in the Game Awards with like that specific category that I'm for some reason not looking up, is because No Man's Sky has put out so much amazing content, and it's like Fortnite has been pretty much popular ever since Battle Royale came out, and that's for the most part, in my opinion, what people just base the game off of. Not many people ever talk about the Save the World. But when you talk about No Man's Sky, it's like, this is a real underdog story. They came out and people were legitimately pissed to the point where they were like giving death threats to the developers, and now it's fantastic and people really, really enjoy it. So I don't know. I'm kind of sad about that, but that's just me.
You could say the same thing for a lot of those game awards, though. I mean, like, Red Dead and God of War are basically going to destroy every other category almost. So I feel like there's a lot of that happens, unfortunately. It's just some games are just like one step above. I don't know, but I understand what you're talking about with No Man's Sky. But at the same time, you could also argue that like they should have just, probably got it right the first time or set expectations a little bit differently. That being said, they're doing great now, but I don't know. I feel like it's hard to justify that.
Fortnite originally launched with just Save the World, and it immediately like tanked. So you could basically propose the same argument for Fortnite. That they originally came out and didn't have the content that anybody... I mean, some people really enjoyed it, but most people did not care whatsoever, especially after like I think it was 5 to 7 years in development. So I don't know. I just feel like the argument stands for both.
Yeah, a funny story about the Fortnite Save the World is that when that came out, Mike Mahardy and I did a video about Save the World and how bad it is. And everyone upvoted it. Everyone on YouTube was like, yeah, I agree. This is such a waste of money. I can't believe we had to wait this long. And then they came out with Battle Royale. And then our video resurfaces, and everyone doesn't understand what we're talking about. They're like, are you kidding me? This is like the best game. I love Battle Royale. They didn't even mention Battle Royale. And now it's got a bunch of downvotes because of this. Like, we just, right when it came out, we jumped on it. We were like, this is garbage. Personally, I still don't like Fortnite, but that's always like an interesting story to tell because boy did they flip the script so fast on that.
Oh yeah, everybody joins that bandwagon.
Yeah
that's very true. I did want to ask you guys because I realized I didn't actually talk about this last week when I meant to. So the Game Awards, there's been several discussions about like how you brought up God of War and Red Dead Redemption. And most people have been, when they talk about like the inclusion of Celeste for Game of the Year, or just any like indie game in general, they're like, oh yeah, it's great that it was nominated. And they're like, it's not gonna, I mean, realistically, it's probably not gonna win, but I don't know. I have this weird like issue with people just immediately counting it out just because it's an indie game or because it's going up against God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2. But I guess in the past, yeah, it's been an issue for indie games trying to like break through because not many people play them, which sucks. But how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue is that like a lot of times I think the Game Awards still are voted by users, right? Like people vote for them. They're not decided by a group of people, I don't think, right?
You can, but it's also decided by judges.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know a lot of times like they include those games for diversity, like, oh, we need some indie games in here to fill this out. But yeah, a lot of times when it's like unleashed to the masses, like everyone and their mother is going to be voting for Red Dead or God of War.
Right, exactly. And I think, honestly, like, it's not even, like, don't get me wrong, those are both amazing games, but it's not even just the fact that they're good games versus an indie game being worse. It's just exposure, really. I mean, think about it. Which one are you more likely going to vote for if you know what it's about? Like, most people probably don't even know what Celeste is. Granted, that's probably not true because it is one of the bigger indie games, but I mean, in general, there's probably a lot of indie games that are on that list that people look at and they're like, I have no idea what that is. So they just end up voting for the one that's in the news so much, which is either God of War or Red Dead Redemption 2. It's really a popularity contest when it comes down to it in some cases.
I was bitter Dead Cells wasn't on there.
Dead Cells is really good too.
Because that's probably number 2 or number 1 maybe for my Game of the Year right now.
What's your top?
It's either that or Red Dead. Still figuring that out.
Okay. See, not picking an indie. You're part of the problem.
Gotta be honest.
I think Dead Cells is included in the indie game of the year or best indie game of the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Celeste, Dead Cells, Into the Breach,
The Messenger,
and something else.
Into the Breach was also fantastic.
Maybe Florence. I'm not
sure.
I don't. Yeah.
Was Florence on there?
I'm not sure.
I know
I think
was
Florence is in one of
couple.
the categories.
Yeah, it was on like 2 categories, but I can't remember. I don't think it was indie though. The best indie.
Florence is in best mobile game against Fortnite Mobile. I'm fairly certain.
Fortnite can destroy that.
Yeah, I just not excited for any of this to happen. But to move on to, I guess, greener pastures in a way, at least for me, kind of. I don't know about you guys. We're over on Game Informer. Yeah, dude, fucking Ninja Turtles. It's good for everybody. Over on Game Informer, this written by JP Jamborees. Let's go with Jamborees, because that's what his name looks like. Publisher of VVVVVV. I'm fairly certain that actually has a name other than that. I'm just going to go with it. And Cave Story has a vision for an 8-bit Ninja Turtle game, or TMNT game just in general. It seems that Nicholas Inc. actually put out a screenshot or just kind of a picture of an 8-bit Ninja Turtle game on their Twitter recently. And in my opinion, it looks amazing. I would like to say something that I find a little bit odd. It says like in the article that they are the team behind retro-inspired gems like Cave Story Plus and 1001 Spikes. And it says Nicholas would be the perfect indie developer to create this pixelated portrait of our favorite mutant Ninja Turtles. Or it just says Mutant Turtles, because why say they're Ninja Turtles? Everybody knows what you're talking about. Cave Story Plus was actually, I don't know necessarily how much like Nicholas had to do with the port of Cave Story to the different consoles and stuff like that. But Cave Story was actually like developed by, his screen name is Pixel, but I think his last name is like Mayama or something like that. I really can't remember, but he actually, I think, single-handedly developed Cave Story, and then Nicholas helped him with the development of ports and basically like porting it to different consoles, including the Nintendo Switch with Cave Story Plus, which I have physically, and it came with a keychain, which is really cool. It actually came with 3 different keychains. One of Quote, one of Curly, and one of Balrog, which I thought was really awesome. But Nicholas is actually one of my favorite publishers because every like indie game that they publish and or help port with Cave Story Plus, which they also published. But anytime they do that physically, they actually include a keychain, which is really cool. Because they also, I think they also published Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap, the most recent like remaster of the old, it was either NES or SNES game.
So,
but it also came with a Lizard Man keychain.
So what you're saying is you want him to do this just because you want a Ninja Turtle keychain.
I'm not saying that, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nicholas is like my favorite publisher specifically because not only do I get something physical, but I also get a keychain.
You're ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. If this was a thing, I would love it. I love the old school Ninja Turtles games. Those things are masterpieces. Especially just the 8-bit version of it looks really, really cool. And also, have you never played the VVVVVV game?
No, I have played it. I just don't know how to say the name.
Oh.
I don't know if it's meant to be just a bunch of V's. I've played a small bit of it because it was a free game for PlayStation Plus. I played it on my Vita for a little bit. It was pretty fun. It's very weird.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, I was like, do you just not know what that is? Or, but yeah, I guess, I don't know if there's a right way to say that. It could just be
or V to the 5th or something, to the 6th, whatever.
To the 6th?
It's 6, matter. But yeah. Are you a big Ninja Turtle fan, Jake?
Not really.
Oh, for shame.
I know. I haven't played any of the Ninja Turtle games, actually, except for like occasionally playing them in an arcade when I was younger.
Yeah, that's the thrill.
That is the thrill. But I didn't go to an arcade that often, so I don't. They were like just sort of dying out as I was old enough to be interested in them.
The true struggle.
Same.
Yeah. Actually, I think they were already long dead by the time, but I remember the local bowling alley had one, and they shut down the bowling alley, so no more. Maybe if that was open longer, then I'd be a Ninja Turtles fan, but
it's that damn bowling alley's fault.
Yeah, you can trace it all the way back to the bowling alley.
I'm gonna write them a strongly worded letter, even though they're closed.
I've already done multiple.
Oh well. Well, it's good. If it comes out, you'll love it. Trust me.
I believe it.
All right. That's all
I'm wondering if they were like planning on developing an entirely new Ninja Turtle game, or if it's just like a remaster of the old Ninja Turtle games in a cooler aesthetic.
Like a revisioning?
Yeah, like a remake instead of a remaster. But I mean, I guess in the article it literally says that it's probably not going to happen. It's just like, yeah, that's cool. They put out an 8-bit thing that people like. So for our next story, we are heading over to Twinfin, this written by Grayson Morales. This is Yooka-Laylee has managed to sell over 1 million copies. That's basically all the news you have there. Playtonic Games, a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, Yooka-Laylee has managed to sell over 1 million copies. The development team went to Twitter this week to announce the milestone and to thank all their fans. And then it's like a nice little thank you. The main reason that I included this is one, because because I actually haven't played Yooka-Laylee, but I mean, I've seen some reviews for it and thought it looked pretty good. It's just an old, like, 3D platformer, like, collectathon, which is cool. But also, I wanted to ask your guys' opinion on whether or not you find the title condescending, like, kind of douchey, because he says it's managed to sell over 1 million copies. Like, that just sounds... You worded that really weird. That's just my opinion. What do you guys feel like that's weird?
I mean, he's not wrong for being condescending. Yooka-Laylee, I was such a big supporter when it first was coming out. I was all on it. I remember the day it came out, I was like super hyped. I was at work and I was like, I gotta get out of work. This is all that matters right now. Need Yooka-Laylee. And I was so hyped for it because I love Banjo-Kazooie. And then I played Yooka-Laylee and I was like, that's okay. And like, that was pretty much how I feel a lot of the criticism from it is it just didn't really feel like it was anything new. I don't know, even though it was supposed to be like, you know, exactly what Banjo-Kazooie was, but it just didn't feel like, it didn't compel me to keep playing. I played for a little bit and then I was just like, meh, enough of this. But I mean, it's still selling, so good for them. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what they do next, because they seem like a talented studio with like a really strong direction. Because I thought the art style and that game by itself I thought was beautiful, but I never ended up playing much of it just because of the same reason. I was like, all right, I kind of get this. It's just, you know, exactly what I would expect a remake of a Nintendo 64 game to be, or like a game made in the spirit of a Nintendo 64 game to be. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good that it managed to sell that much. Clearly, it means that they're on to something. So hopefully we see more from them soon.
Yeah, I definitely think the studio has a good future ahead of themselves anyway, and I'd like to see some newer stuff come from them. I think they'll probably learn a lot of like the pitfalls and criticism that came back from this and be able to create something that, you know, has that same nostalgic feeling, but not... It changes the script a little bit, so to speak. So I'm hoping that kind of work comes out of it. So we'll see. I don't know if they're gonna plan on doing like a Yooka-Laylee 2 or, you know, entirely new cast, but we'll see what happens. With 1 million copies, they're definitely at least going somewhere.
I'm planning with a little bit in like new stuff. I'm planning on purchasing Yooka-Laylee at least once, whether on PS4 or the Nintendo Switch, because you got to get them physical copies. But yeah, I was never a big fan of. I'm about to burn some bridges, but I was never a big fan of Banjo-Kazooie myself. I was just like, it's
you and Jared Petty are so wrong.
I don't know why. Okay, to be fair, I think it's because I hate the N64 controller that much that I do not like Banjo-Kazooie. It's the worst controller on earth. Can't even argue that.
That's the best piece of hardware ever.
I didn't like Banjo-Kazooie that much either.
Giant bananas.
It was all right.
It looked so much so. They were so bad. It's just so funny how they were just like basically 3 bananas that you had to hold on to. And it even looked like that if you purchased the N64, the Donkey Kong 64, which was a really crazy game back in the day too. But there was a physical, like one of the controllers that came with the game. I don't know if it was pre-ordered or did something. Because I was too young to remember back then, but I got the controller and it literally was just bananas. Like that's what they made those look like.
I remember popping in the expansion pack for that game because my normal Nintendo 64 couldn't handle it, I guess.
I feel like there was a lot of games where you had to like slap in an extra piece of hardware for some reason. It was such a weird console.
It's because that controller sucks. Like we have to make you buy other things than new controllers because these are just terrible.
Just hate. But no, I mean it's a good game. I would definitely recommend it if you're like into, you know, these kind of nostalgic feel type games. It just didn't hook me, but I know there's a lot of people that like it, obviously with 1 million copies, so I'm sure maybe you'll like it.
It's because of those trouser snakes, dude. You could talk to a trouser snake. It's all about.
I did multiple times.
You converse with the trouser snake multiple times? Is it your favorite? Your favorite character?
Yeah. I mean, I guess Trouser Snake is a pretty cool guy. He's one of my friends.
All right, so for our next story, speaking of trouser snakes and just monsters in general, for our next story, we are actually going to kind of a blog, kind of Kickstarter. It's kind of interesting. Tam Alpha launches today. No major... Yeah, I'm not going to read that part because I just realized that's something you guys put there. So the alpha is launching today because they met their... they basically reached their goal and then some. I think it's pretty awesome considering we have a section of this podcast called God Bless the Crowd, where we talk about people hopefully reaching their Kickstarter goals, or at least indie games specifically. But I think this is awesome. The alpha is launching today. It does not have a time frame yet. They're still working on the last few bits, so the development team... they're just asking you to wait a little bit. There are some kind of like caveats to it, it seems. They're asking if there are any bugs that you report them. On their forum, there are only available Luma right now, which I don't know what that is, but there's only a few Luma available. The Temtem is a challenging game, and they recommend that you use items if you're in trouble, and there will be no tutorials. Temtem looks fucking awesome. It looks sweet. I'm honestly surprised I've never heard Errol talk about this game, because he's obsessed with Monster Tamers, and this looks sweet.
Yeah, so the reason why I put this up there was actually I was one of the alpha backers for Temtem back when it first came out, and I actually just got the key like an hour or two before this podcast, before we started recording. The way they did sending out the keys is in like waves, so based on when you supported them, when you actually made the purchase, those people who are coming first get first come first serve. And I got to try it out for a little bit. It's like a carbon copy of Pokemon in some senses. It's very similar the way it starts and the way it feels, but there is, as far as like the actual fighting goes, it feels very different because you have to manage stamina with your monsters, and that allows you to use, so there's no like you can only use a certain amount of attacks this many times like in Pokemon. Instead, it's like you have to manage a stamina bar, and each move costs stamina, and there's certain turns where you just have to rest and you can't even do anything with that monster because otherwise it'll basically hurt itself trying to overexert itself. So it gives it a different element of challenge and interesting puzzle to it. So far, like I said, I've only had like an hour or so to play with it, but it seems really fun. The only thing is, because there's so many people coming on all at once, it's like flooding the servers, and there's some weird glitches where it's just kind of crapped out on me a couple of times. But I'm sure that will work itself out, and otherwise, just because it's an alpha, there's like very limited instructions or tooltips, and half of the stuff doesn't work, so it can be a little like confusing, but it's more of just being like, all right, well, I'll try this and see what it does, and then I just have to be like, oh, okay, that's what it does, now I know. So, but otherwise it's pretty fun.
I find it interesting how there are like not many high quality Pokemon ripoff games, at least not that I can think of. Not that this is a ripoff or anything, but when you saying like it's very similar to Pokemon in a sense, I find it interesting that it's not like a widely copied formula, because it seems so, I don't know, easy to pick up, play, like fun, just collecting monsters and putting together your own team.
Yeah, I feel like, well, I wish Errol was here, who's our main like Mon game expert on the team, because I'm pretty sure he would say otherwise and tell us we're wrong they're out there. But to your point, I was having the same conversation with a buddy of mine who we both backed this game and we were playing, and he's like, I'm surprised there's not more of this. He's like, there are some that he was like looking up, but like when we first got this, it was one of those things where it came out and we were like, man, how can they do this? And then they just did it, and we're like, wow, this is really good. Why don't more games do this? Because it seems, like you were saying, like such an easy concept as long as you put a spin to it and make something different.
Yeah. I'm excited to try it, though. It looks pretty cool. I hadn't heard of it until now.
Oh, see, there you go. Learned something.
Now you're just going to have to pay money to get into the alpha.
I mean, I mean, I had to pay money to get into the alpha, so there's really no difference.
You'll just have to wait 1,000,000 years to get your key then. Because they're like, oh, it depends on when you backed it, so good luck.
Well, no, I think so. Only certain people. You had to pay a certain amount to get alpha status. I think it was like $30 minimum, which is kind of pricey. But a bunch of my buddies really wanted to do the alpha, and I was like, all right, I'll play with you because there's like a multiplayer, which I don't think it even works in the alpha, so shouldn't have done it. But anyway. But all of those people, they said, I believe today they're trying to get all of the keys out. It's going in waves. So it's like 1 hour they have the first wave, the second hour they have the second wave. I think they're just doing that because of time, of how long it takes for the logistics of it.
Hopefully it's a better like alpha/beta period than Fallout 76. And they're not just like, yeah, you get 5 minutes today and then in a week you'll get another 5. It'll be fun.
Well, it all paid off for them though, right?
Oh
yeah, dude. Definitely didn't go down in flames. They definitely didn't just apologize.
Now there's that lawsuit. Ugh, things are looking mighty good for them.
There's a
Why,
lawsuit?
Todd? Why?
There's a potential lawsuit. Yeah. There's a law firm like getting ready to do something. Nothing's been like officially done, but it might be in the works.
Is it like the Brendan Green in PUBG always like threatening to sue Fortnite every other week, and then it would just blow over a week later, and you'd be like, all right, you lost, just get over it.
Yeah, well, because it's specifically it's for like refunds, because they're like not giving out refunds anymore. So
that's what I noticed, because I bought it on Bethesda Net or whatever it is, and I was like, I want to refund this game, but I can't.
Yeah.
Are they not allowing you to pursue a refund after a certain amount of time, or is it just no refund?
It's not part of Bethesda Net's policy or whatever. Like with Steam, you can. Steam and GOG, but Bethesda's pretty new. I mean, I guess it's been around for a while, but I don't know what it's called. Bethesda Launcher?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Bethesda.net launcher.
Yeah. Like they don't really sell games from there. I feel like most people just buy Bethesda games on Steam, and then if they have to use the launcher, they will. But this was the first game that you could only get on the Bethesda Net launcher.
Right.
So, like, it's like, all right, I don't like it. Now what? You can't really do anything.
I mean, granted though, like from a realistic point of view, Steam and GOG's their policy is only like you can't play it for more than 2 hours, and then you're not allowed to return it anyway. So most likely people are going to end up putting in more than 2 hours to this game before they decide whether or not it's for them, and then by that time it's too late.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Once again, I actually like the game. So every time I keep seeing all this hatred, I'm like, oh, why couldn't you have been better?
To be fair, I don't hate it. Like I was having fun with friends, but I have no desire to play that by myself.
I go back and forth on it. Like there's certain times where I enjoy it from a single player aspect, but it's like you need to be willing to read like a lot. That's pretty much like it's basically like reading a book with occasional fighting super mutants.
I'm only level like 15 in it, so I haven't played like a massive amount, but I've only played alone. I haven't played with anybody, and I'm actually really enjoying it.
It's not bad.
I don't mind it.
Yeah. But it gets crazy. I don't know, like me and like 3 buddies ended up killing our first Scorch Beast the other day. And those things are freaking crazy. I don't know how you would do that on your own. That thing took us like so long. Granted, we're a lot lower than we should be fighting those, but still.
Yeah, I probably won't ever fight it alone.
They're scary. They'll break your legs real quick.
Yeah, I imagine so. So now it's time to move on to a reoccurring segment. This is just some new stuff that's come out for indie games this week. It's not a whole lot of... We don't have a whole lot to talk about this week when it comes to new stuff. But for the new stuff, we've got Breach. Welcome to the Dungeon Brawl official trailer. So Breach got a new trailer. It looks really weird. I don't know how I feel about that game. We've also got Night in the Wood and Hyperlight Drifter get collectible figures from FANGAMER. I've actually seen those. Those are really awesome. I'm actually hoping to get the Hyperlight Drifter collectible. Proteus. I don't know how to say that. Proteus gets a reveal trailer. That game looks amazing. And for our last bit of new stuff, Best Buy and Limited Run Games are producing physical copies of both Golf Story and Yooka-Laylee on the Nintendo Switch. I believe, I don't know if Yooka-Laylee is, but Golf Story is coming out on, I think it's December 10th. You can pick it up in Best Buy stores. Hopefully it's easier than when I bought Hollow Knight. So.
We'll see. Yeah, did you oh man, I really like the look of that Proteus trailer. Like that game looks so interesting. How it's like Doom, but like it's old, but not. I don't know. It's a weird way that they did the graphics for it.
I think it looks awesome. It looks like the original Doom, but kind of with better mechanics, hopefully, with better gameplay.
But they really set themselves up to fail. They're like, and I don't know exactly when they're coming out. It says like 2019, but that's pretty much going to be most likely around the same time that the new Doom Eternal comes out. And it's like, which one are you going to get? The actual Doom series or this, you know, kind of cool looking but not the same Doom game?
That's fair. I imagine there are still a couple like holdouts that love the old Doom and love its like nostalgic feel. So they're playing games like Strafe and stuff like that. They're not like moving forward and playing the new Doom. But I don't know.
We'll see. It also depends on when it comes out, because I'm just speculating that they're probably going to come out at the same time, just because, you know, their luck. But we'll see.
The luck of every game developer.
Yeah.
It seems.
I mean,
Did you happen to watch the Proteus trailer?
I did not. I am just now clicking into it, but I don't want to play it because it'll be noisy.
well, when you get
That's
the
like my
time-
life.
Yeah.
Every time I pop up an IGN article to read, I'm like, oh shit. And I like try to click pause as fast as possible.
I think Chrome should automatically mute that stuff. So that, like, autoplay. Chrome will automatically mute autoplay, from what I've been told.
That's not happening for me.
At least- yeah, that's
that
what I
doesn't
was
happen
told.
for me either.
But I don't think that happens, at least not that I can think of.
Maybe there's like an extension you have to add on or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, whenever you do, it definitely looks really cool. I think it'll be a good game, regardless.
I mean, based on the screenshots, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm game for Doom, like a cool looking new Doom, but old Doom, I guess.
A cool looking new, but yeah, it's not new Doom.
Exactly.
Yeah, I played a little bit of the like or I guess it's not a remaster. I played a little bit of Doom, the remake / reimagining. I didn't play a whole lot of it because I play first person shooters, but I'm not a huge fan. It was fun. I played Wolfenstein. I really liked it, but yeah, it's kind of a different story entirely. But yeah, I think Proteus looks awesome. I'm more than likely saying that name wrong. But
no, I think Proteus
sounds
sounds
right.
right. Yeah.
yes,
I think it sounds right.
boom. Did you look it up? You're like, oh yeah, I think it sounds right. You actually like piped it into Microsoft Sam like every other episode.
No, I haven't. But let's check it out. What does Microsoft Sam say? It does say Proteus. You're right.
Oh shit!
See?
I was so right. You're so quick with that. It's kind of creepy.
I open that tab up
Yeah, that
every
was
time.
fast.
Every time we have an episode, I open a tab up just so when you go like, I don't know how to say this, I try it.
That's a good idea. This is why we're partners.
See?
This is why I'm glad I have you.
Oh, so cute.
I feel like I'm third wheeling here.
I know for a fact you guys are definitely gonna buy these collectibles and physical copies, right? Yeah, super excited.
Oh yeah, let me tell
I mean, Golf Story though. Like I'd get the physical edition for Golf Story. That game is rad.
I haven't played it yet, and honestly, this physical edition is gonna make me play it.
Well, that's
I'm gonna
good.
pay like $15 more for it, but I'm gonna play it.
I can't fit physical editions where I live. Like there's just not enough space. I gave up on that dream a long time ago.
I think I might have to rethink my thought process on what I want to do with my life then.
I mean, just don't ever move to San Francisco where there's no room anywhere, and then you'll be fine. You can store all the games you want, I think.
Where the games industry lives, don't move
Yeah,
there
don't go.
because I can't have my physical copies. It's cool, dude. I'll get like one of those crazy shelves that just like super rickety and it's like on the ceiling or something. It'll be fine. I'm not
And then
worried
if there's an
about it.
earthquake, which wouldn't happen in San Francisco, we're not known for earthquakes or anything. It wouldn't fall. It'd be fine.
Just glue all of your
Yeah.
collectibles to the roof.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll
Put
just
some
glue
paste
all
and
my
just throw
physical
it at the
copies in.
ceiling.
I think that kind of defeats the purpose.
No,
You can still look at them.
see? Yeah. You could even go to bed and just
Oh,
lay
shit.
up in the ceiling and see all your collectibles and just go to bed knowing, oh, all my collectibles are up there. It'd be great.
And hope they don't fall on you while you sleep.
Well, you put like a little a guardrail up or something above you.
You have to sleep in like a cocoon because you're gonna get beamed by your collectibles falling in earthquakes. That would be awesome.
See,
I would really enjoy that.
I told you.
So now it's time to move on to our other game segment. I guess there's a lot of segments this podcast. It's kind of weird. I just realized that there's a shitload. This is God Bless the Crowd, where we kind of just pray to the gods that some indie Kickstarter games get funding, or we just talk shit about why they chose to go for $100,000, and it's definitely not going to happen. This week we've got 3 different indie games on Kickstarter. Now we've got GIGABUSTER, Aethyr, which I'm going to say that's Aethyr because it looks like Aethyr, and Where the Bees Make Honey.
I snuck that one in there last second.
Yeah, I like opened up the tab. I was like, shit, I can't play the video either because it's gonna be loud. So
I just put it in there to
this
get you
game
back.
looks cool.
Oh.
Right? You're like, ha, suck it for your stupid physical releases. Now you get to deal with Where the Bees Make Honey. Hey, they're asking for a reasonable amount. They have 8 days left, and they've only got to make like $900. That's not right. That's 100% wrong. They only have to make $700, a little bit less than that.
It's bad at math, bro.
Yeah, I'm not even joking. I wanted to be a game programmer, but realized I was so terrible at math, and I decided to write about them instead. That's my life.
Yeah, so I'm quickly looking at this since we got thrown this last minute. What is this about? Is it about making honey?
Bees.
Not quite. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe it gets into that later. But it's very reminiscent of like Captain Toad in the perspective platforming puzzle. I don't think your character can jump, from what I remember. But yeah, it's got a neat art style. It's got some fun puzzles, and it's got, I don't know. I really like the sort of cute art style and shifting perspectives. We checked it out. It was on our stage at E3 a couple years ago. Actually, maybe it was this year on our indie stage. And since then, I've kind of been following it and saw that they recently just put up a Kickstarter. And I am, as you put it, praying to the Kickstarter gods that it gets funded. And I think it might. I was a little worried at first.
I definitely think it will. You've got 8 days left. They're not asking for a ridiculous amount. And their higher tiers aren't thousands of dollars. And it's just like, hey, you make my game for me. Which I can't say for some other Kickstarter games. I still have that issue. There's like, I think I think GIGABUSTER has like a 6K tier or something like that. It was like $5,000. And okay, one of the two, either Aethyr or GIGABUSTER has it. And it's like, you can make 10 different items in our game. And I'm like, that literally sounds like I'm making your game.
Yeah, that's the.
Sounds like Beyond Good and Evil 2.
That.
Yeah.
They're like, you pay us $5,000 and you can make Beyond Good and Evil 2. And then people just re-release Beyond Good and Evil. They like remaster it. They're like, suck it. Fooled you. I was just gonna say, Where the Bees Make Honey looks really cool. I will honestly, I get motion sick. I did when I played Fez, so I will more than likely throw up all over myself if I play that game.
Well, maybe this one's not for you then.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't play this then.
Yeah, I don't know if this one was for me, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who would enjoy this type of puzzle game. It does look pretty cool. You aren't making any honey from what I can see though, so I'm gonna have to take points away.
You collect little honeycombs though, it looks like. So that's close enough, right?
Close enough. That's stealing honey, not making honey.
That's true.
That sounds like
Piss off some
false
bees.
advertising.
Yeah. Where the bees honey gets stolen. That's what it should be called. But on the other ones, so I'll specifically talk about Aethyr? I don't know how to say it either. It looks really cool though, even though it's got a crazy $5,000 tier. But it kind of just, I'm looking at it, it reminds me of like a 2D Skyrim. Like, it's so strange, but it looks really interesting. There's like a lot of different powers and you're running through and you get to like craft your own items. It seems like there could be a lot of depth to this game. Even each item has like different effects, like long blades Well-balanced tool, well-suited for any situation, and they get critical strike, whereas your bludgeons get like a critical strike, which stuns people. So there seems to be a lot into it, and I just love these old like 2D-ish games. It just looks like I don't know. Looks good.
Yeah, I think Aethyr looks amazing. One of my weird hang-ups about games like Chasm and just other like indie games where you can like put on armor and it doesn't show on your character sprite. That really bothers me. I hate it. It's like, what's the point of getting armor? And in Aethyr, you can. It's cool. You can put on armor and you actually wear armor. But Aethyr is the one that I was talking about, that it's like, you pay $5,000 and you can make my game for me, because it literally has create a character, create a custom item, create an enemy, create a statue, create a boss, and then you're credited with in special thanks. I gave you $5,000, made a shitload of your stuff. You better fucking give me a special thanks. What?
And some money. Some earnings.
Yeah, right. I'll never understand.
I'm always so interested in what type of person is that will do this one. How do you just have $5,000 to give into a random game? Like you have to really believe in where this game is going.
Yeah.
Just fucking Star Citizen, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I honestly, it makes me wonder if, like, the people who choose these high tiers where you get to create stuff in games, I wonder if they put that on, like, their resume. If they want to be, like, in game development, and they're like, I created characters in this game and this game. I don't know. I would.
I mean,
but if I paid $5,000.
Yeah, I know. You might as well get some use out of that.
But like, how much are they really putting into that creation part? I'm pretty sure it's more of like, here's your basic template that you could choose from, like, kind of pick and choose things. Like, I don't think they're gonna give them that much creative freedom.
Yeah, what
I'd
color
be
hair
pissed.
should
I
he
give
have
you
and what color
$5,000.
clothes?
Like, my character is just all butts. And that's what it's gonna be. It's just a big butt monster. All right, I paid $5,000. You have to put it in. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen.
If I give you $5,000, you better let me put an anus monster in your freaking game.
I mean, well, if I make a game, I'll let it.
It looks
I'll pay
pretty
you
cool,
$5,000.
All right.
Yeah, Aethyr looks amazing. I think it looks awesome. It's definitely, if I had to choose one of the three I was 100% going to play, I would choose that one because it's already funded.
Wait, it is? It already got funded?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a $15,000 goal, and they're at $28,000 over that.
Nice.
Yeah. I'll more than likely be able to play that on PC, Mac, or Linux. Who plays game on Macs, by the way? Who's playing games on there? On their like Mac home computer? Do you guys have a Mac?
I tried to play Obra Dinn on a Mac earlier this week, and I was like, nope, can't do this because there was screen tearing, and I didn't know how to get rid of it on a Mac because there was nothing in the options. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna wait until I get back to my PC, and I'm gonna play it on there. But that's my experience with playing games on Mac. So
yeah, I don't know, because it seems like there's a lot of ask for it, especially on Kickstarter. I see it so often that they have the Mac option. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who plays games on Mac. That's kind of weird. Did you, Jake, when you were playing Obra Dinn on your Mac for like 10 seconds before it just really sucked, was it like meta for you for a second? Because I guess the game's graphics are actually based on the early Macintosh games.
yeah, so you can set the graphics like to different sort of classic consoles. Like I think you can do. I'm not the one to be talking about this. I'm not too familiar with those classic consoles, but I know there's like a whole setting where there's like 8 different styles that are kind of like classic consoles or like PC, but I never even thought of it when I was playing it, though, to answer your question.
I feel bad.
Cool art style, but there's screen tearing, so...
Yeah, when it originally popped up as like as an indie story that we talked about on the podcast, both Josh and I kind of just shit on it because we didn't like the art style. We're like, man, this game looks cool. but I definitely don't like the art style. I think that's why he asked you earlier if it hurt your head.
Yeah, the first...
Because it's got such a weird art style.
Oh, I like the art style. I get it, though. Like, it was kind of jarring at first. The music, though, is really good. Like, if anything, if you don't think you're going to be able to play it, you should at least just, like, go on YouTube and look up Oberdin music and listen to it, because it's some bangers on there.
Oh, some bangers! That's what I'm talking about!
God damn it.
Certified bangers.
Oh, man, that's your
I
favorite
hate my
word.
life.
That's your favorite word, Vaughn.
Jake can't come back to the podcast. It's
No
never
way,
going to happen
man.
again.
He's a banger official.
God damn it. The other game that we have literally not talked about at all is GIGABUSTER. It's definitely not getting funded, I would assume. It's got 16 days left, and it's got over 16K to go. It has to make $1,000. I mean, it doesn't actually have to make $1,000 a day, but I just don't see it getting the funding to actually come to anything.
That's kind of a shame, though, because, like, it looks pretty cool. I would play it.
Yeah, it's a really cool looking game, especially if you're a fan of Mega Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a shame that people didn't want to hawk them money to make their game.
Well, it's because they didn't put a $5,000 reward like the other ones did.
That's so true. You really have to appreciate that they only went up to $500. That's so awesome. They didn't go to like $10,000 or something crazy like everybody else does for some reason. And then they're like, make my game for me.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, though, because it does look really cool. I would definitely play the hell out of this game.
Are you a fan of 2D platformers, Jake? Or, I guess, 2D action platformers is what it's called.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm not a huge fan. Like, I wasn't super excited for, what was it, Mega Man...
11.
11?
11.
Yeah,
11, that's
Yeah.
the one.
He was excited for Mighty Number 9.
Yeah, I was a big Mighty Number 9 guy. After 16 delays or whatever it was. No, I mean, I like those games. For me personally, of these, I think Aethyr would be the one that I'm most interested in. Which seems to be the consensus. Oh my God, consensus. Among us.
Yes, that's the word.
I'm a mush mouth too, don't worry. I've said freaking fries days like 6 times on this podcast. It's really starting to piss me off.
Yeah. Every time we see a release for Friday, he gets a little nervous.
I'm just going to take my time because it's time for the indie games release schedule. This is where I mess up consistently and say fries days or just some other weird crap. So every week, the Incursion podcast brings you a bunch of indie games that are coming out this week, that week, whatever. I don't know when you're listening to this. It could be freaking present or past tense. It's a thing. This is for November 25th through December 1st. There is actually like a shocking amount of like indie games that aren't coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One this week. Normally, we at least have like 5 or 6. But just not really any this week, which is a little odd. But I guess it's time for me to torture myself and get into this. So we've got a bunch of different platforms on here. I'm going to start off with Multiple. This would be coming to different consoles, whether it be PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, Switch, anything like that. Don't worry, I'll list it for you. It'll be really nice. So we've got our first one is Floor Kids, which looks amazing, by the way. I'm going to get into that in a second. It's coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One Tuesday, November 27th. Horizon Chase Turbo is coming to Xbox One and Switch Wednesday, November 28th. Neri, Tower of Shirin, kind of, maybe, is coming to Switch and Windows PC Thursday, November 29th. The First Tree is coming to Xbox One and Switch Friday, November 30th. Yeah, I got it. Don't you worry. I'm not going to say it. And we don't have any games coming out for PS4 or PS Vita. Technically we do. We have Floor Kids, which you should probably buy because it looks awesome. So it's time to move on to the Xbox One games. We've got The Gardens Between is coming to Xbox One Thursday, November 29th. Goat Punks is coming to Xbox One Friday, November 30th. And that's it for Xbox One. super exciting. Now it's time to move on to Switch. There's abundance of Switch games every week. It's generally all of them come out on Thursday, which is kind of crazy. So we've got Mordheim Warband Skirmish is coming to Switch Monday, November 26th. 99 Vitas. I'm assuming it's 99 Vitas, which is interesting. Definitive Edition is coming to Switch Tuesday, November 27th. This War of Mine Complete Edition is coming to Switch Tuesday, November 27th. Yeah, I did say Tuesday. Okay, good. It's freaking me out that I said it wrong. I'm really like self-conscious about this now. I have issues. We've got R-Type Dimensions X coming to Switch Wednesday, November 28th. Abzu's coming to Switch Thursday, November 29th. Akihabara Feel the Rhythm Remixed is coming to Switch Thursday, November 29th. Cattails is coming to Switch Thursday, November 29th. Crimson Keep is coming to Switch Thursday, November 29th. Screen Cheat Unplugged is coming to Switch Thursday, November 29th. Stardust Galaxy Warriors Stellar Climax is coming. Anytime it includes Climax, I just assume it's one of those weird, like, harem games. I feel like it's just a safe assumption. But it's coming to Nintendo Switch Thursday, November 29th. Coffee Crisis is coming to Switch Friday. Fucking shit!
Friday,
God damn it!
baby!
I hate my life. Is coming to Switch Friday, November 30th. Escape Doodleland, which I've actually been following for like a year or two. It looks pretty cool. I'm pretty sure it's because I follow the PR manager on Twitter, and she tweets about it all the time, and I got super stoked. So Escape Doodleland is coming to Switch Friday, November 30th. Harvest Life is coming to Switch Friday, November 30th. I Am the Hero is coming to Switch Friday, November 30th. It's actually on sale on for PlayStation Plus members as well on PS4, which is really cool. Rock Bosher's DX Director's Cut is coming to Switch Saturday, December 1st. And that's it for the Switch games. Trust me, it's almost over with. You only have to listen to like 12 Windows games, and then that's it. It's no big deal. So now we're moving on to the Windows PC section. We've got Incredible Mandy coming to Windows PC Monday, November 26th. Cardcore coming to Windows PC Monday, November 26th. Propaganda Llama, which is, it coming to PC Monday, November 26th. From Beyond Prologue is coming to PC Wednesday, November 28th. Survivors Left X is coming to PC Wednesday, November 28th. Toltec, The Mysteries of the Secret Island is coming to PC Wednesday, November 28th. Middleborg, City of Mages is coming to PC Thursday, November 29th. Newt 1 is coming to PC Thursday, November 29th. Ricky Runner is coming to... It's Ricky Runner Super Boot Cup. Yep, god damn it. I hate... This is always the worst section of every podcast, is reading this damn release schedule.
Ricky do you
Runner,
do it every week?
Yeah,
I do. Josh has offered to help me with it, but for some reason I'm just like, I'm going to torture myself. I'm going to read this every single week.
Struggles.
So have more respect for me, please.
I mean, I couldn't do it, but I also wouldn't want to do it.
That's good. You're not going to be on the podcast anymore, Jake. You freaking banger. Ricky Runner Super Boot Cup is coming to PC Thursday, November 29th. Void, with a bunch of periods in between every letter for some reason, is coming to PC Thursday, November 29th. Dave is coming to PC Friday, November 30th. Epic Battle Fantasy 5 is coming to PC Friday, November 30th. King Randall's Party is coming to PC Friday, November 30th. Lethal Running Prologue. There's 2 prologues on this?
Wow.
Why are there 2 prologues? That's just weird. Lethal Running Prologue is coming to PC Friday, November 30th. Super Fighters Deluxe is coming to PC Friday, November 30th. The Subject is coming to PC Friday, November 30th. Thay is what I'm going to say is Thay 2 The Shattering is coming to PC Friday, November 30th, and Trio Adventures, the last title for today, is coming to PC Friday, November 30th. So what we like to do now is we pick out a title or two that we would recommend or that we think is funny and or looks funny, I guess, is what Josh normally picks. He always picks the weird ones.
No, I don't.
Or I just picked Chasm like 6 times because I wanted to talk about Chasm more. So what game would you pick today, Josh? What game would you recommend our listeners, however few they are, to pick out?
So it's not funny. It's Screen Sheet Unplugged.
That's a good pick.
So Screen Sheet is a game that has been out on other consoles, but now is coming to the Switch, and I feel like it's really good for the Switch because the Switch, their whole main thing, especially with Nintendo, is party games, being able to just pick up the Switch and bring it over to someone's house and be able to play with it. Especially since you can use just a Joy-Con for one player, so you automatically have 2 controllers. But it's really cool because it's a basic, style of FPS, so to speak, of like the 4-person screen split game, but instead of just playing against people and trying to kill them, the big thing is you can't see anyone, so you're literally screen cheating to find out where others are because everyone's invisible, so you have to just read the room as to where they're at based on the textures on the wall or based on the weapon they're holding, and then find them and actually kill them. So it's a unique concept, and it's definitely very I guess frustrating at times when people kill you and you're not expecting for them to be there. But it's a lot of fun.
Which one did you pick out, Jake? Or you actually had... I think you wanted to talk about a different game. You hadn't picked one out that was on the list.
I was going to talk about Mutant U-Zero, but I already did. But I can talk about Abzu, because I think that is a fantastic game that I played in 2016 on PS4. And that game is gorgeous. It's tranquil, meditative, definitely worth playing. It got a lot of comparisons to Journey. I personally like this more than Journey, but Journey didn't quite do it for me. But yeah, I'd highly recommend Abzu. Once again, the music in that is very good. Don't worry, I won't say it. But the music is very good as well.
Say it. Say it.
Had some bangers.
That's what I'm talking about.
And also, shout out to Dave, because
He's
Dave.
a cool guy.
Whatever this game is. I searched it. I searched Dave for PC, and it was like Dangerous Dave. I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. I was like, "Where's Dave?"
It's always fun. I always put like Dave game, and it always like happens to come up. There's a few times that I've like tried to put something in, and it was just something super weird. So I was like, nope, I'm not gonna put you in, I guess, because I can't find you.
You should like make up the name of a game and put it in here and see if whoever else is on can figure out the made up game.
That'd be good.
I just torture myself a little bit more and like actually create a game. I mean, I'm kind of I'm like a crazy person, so I would like, if I ever did that, I would get so into it. I would make like a Steam page and everything. I'd be like, find it, Josh. I bet you can't.
Let's see about that.
You may or may not have just given me an idea for a fun game to play. So I did want to ask you, since you talked about Abzu, so Abzu is often brought up in when they're talking about Journey, because I believe, I think it was like the guy who worked on the music for Journey also worked on the music for Abzu or something like that. I think it's one of the few people that worked on Journey also worked on Abzu. Mm-hmm. With Journey being such a huge thing, do you think it's necessarily fair for people to like compare the two when it's mostly only like relation to Journey is because of the one person?
No, I don't think so. But that was like part of how that Abzu got big, I think, was just because it was like, hey, someone from Journey also worked on this game, and that's kind of one of those double-edged swords. Like, cool, it's gonna give it more recognition, but also it's gonna set these expectations that aren't necessarily fair. But it definitely shares some qualities, like the sort of meditative, quiet gameplay, exploratory. I don't know. One of those words will work, I'm sure. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't think it's necessarily fair, but both are good games, and Abzu is great if you haven't had the chance. May not be great on handheld though. It might be cooler to have on a bigger screen.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like I feel for that it kind of doesn't really blend well with the Switch, especially if you just have handheld mode, because you're really not going to get immersed into the game if you're just like on that tiny screen.
I'd also recommend playing with headphones too.
Yeah, I've been wanting to play Abzu for a while. So
no physical edition though.
Ooh, this guy's catching on quick.
I feel like he just came on the podcast to burn me. That's about it.
Yeah. John gave me a list of everything I should say, so I've just been reading off of his notes.
It's about time you don't get to be the bully, Vaughn.
Yeah, is there just do you got Laser League in there? Do you need to talk about it too?
Yeah. Oh man.
He didn't say anything about pickaxe animations though.
That's true. The list is outdated.
So for my games that I actually picked out, I'm the one who picked out a weird game. So the two games that I picked out that I think are awesome is one is Floor Kids. It's a breakdancing game. It's like a breakdancing rhythm game. I think it looks really funny and awesome. That's for the most part the reasons I chose it. I'm not a huge fan of rhythm games, but I think there's like no breakdancing games, or at least I haven't seen any, so I thought that was kind of unique. And the other game that I picked out and wanted to give a shout out to, just because I find it a hilarious concept, is Cattails, and its subtitle is Become a Cat. So it's a cat like simulator RPG. You play as a cat. You hunt for food. You fight invading cats. You explore. You do all sorts of stuff. It is a little odd that it says get married and raise a family of kittens. Okay. That's an odd concept. But those are the two that I wanted to talk about. Speaking of weird titles that were kind of hard to find in Google, Cattails is obviously like it's a type of plant. So it took me a second to find Cattails the video game, which is kind of interesting.
I literally just did that too. I was like, oh, Cattails, let me check that out. And I was like, what the hell is this?
I don't want to look at a damn plant. Those plants have always creeped me out too.
Yeah, they're weird.
Yeah, I don't like them.
And when they break apart, it's like all this fluff inside. It's really fucking weird.
So normally to end the podcast, what I'd like to do is ask people how they thought the podcast went. But like I told you before the podcast, which obviously the listeners wouldn't know, I wanted to ask a weird random question. And I just kind of thought about this while I was at work. And I'll give you guys a little time to answer. But I wanted to ask you guys what your weirdest fear is and why. So to explain, I have a really weird fear that people make fun of me all the time for. And it's because I'm afraid of open water, but it's because I think there's monsters in it. So I don't go to lakes and I won't swim in the ocean because I'm afraid there's some sort of like Kraken-esque creature or like some scary shit like Cthulhu that's gonna murder me inside this open water. So I exclusively swim in pools, but even like dark pools kind of freak me out. Like when I was a kid, I like at a local pool you had to like basically swim from like one side of the pool to the other to prove that you could swim and to do the diving board. And I like for some reason had imagined that a shark was gonna attack me in this fucking pool. So like I just swam as fast as humanly possible. So I was wondering if you guys have any like weird fears off the top of your head that people might make fun of you for. So I can make fun of you for it later in my life.
This is so strange. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind, I guess, is I have a weird, and it's not that weird because nobody really wants that, but anytime I see a bird fly over me, I freak out because I think it's going to poop on me.
Oh, that's a good one. I've had a bird poop on me before, and now every time I see like a bird fly over the corner of my eye, I like duck and try to like step out of the way.
Yeah, my wife is always like, what are you doing? And I'm like, there's birds! I gotta get out!
You like always just carry an umbrella with you everywhere you go?
No.
You're like, I'm not risking it. This isn't happening.
No, not that crazy.
I always loved that people were like, oh yeah, it's good luck. And I'm like, that's bullshit. This fucking bird just shit on me. It is not good luck.
Yeah, I mean, whoever came up with that clearly had just got pooped on by a bird.
Clearly, they just think it's hilarious.
You bringing up umbrellas reminded me of mine, I guess. I don't like umbrellas, but I think part of it is because I'm tall. So, like, when there's a lot of people walking on the street during the rain, like, I'm always, like, I have this visual of one of the, like, pointy parts getting in my eye. So I'm, like, always on a lookout whenever it's raining and people have umbrellas. Because I'm, like, always the perfect height to get hit by one of those. And one time,
I guess that's a
when
benefit
I was young,
to me being excessively short.
Hey, short buddies. That's what I'm talking about.
one time when I was young, I was opening up an umbrella and I got my finger caught and it really hurt, and I didn't like opening umbrellas for a while after that. So I think that might tie into it too.
Oh yeah, that's another one actually. This one actually
my umbrella fear.
This one actually makes more sense. Is popping corks like on bottles. Like I almost got hit in the eye one time by one. So now anytime they like pop, I like freak out.
Damn, I did not expect you guys to have such interesting ones. Or like I've never thought about that tall people always have to worry about getting hit in the face with stuff. Like,
I mean,
just
I don't know if
consistently get stabbed in the eyes and shit with umbrellas.
I don't know if it's worth worrying about that much, but it's something that always crosses my mind whenever it's raining, and I'm like, I gotta be careful today.
Are you ever kind of afraid, like working in the games industry, lots of people have to take trips to Japan? I've heard that their doorways are excessively small. Are you ever afraid you're gonna have to go to Japan and like crouch going through doorways?
I mean, if they were gonna send me to Japan, I think I'd manage.
Yeah, right.
I'd be okay.
You're like, I guess I'll just deal with the doorways.
Not really, but like I know Ben Pack, who works at Giant Bomb, he's like 6'9", I want to say.
Jesus.
I know
Holy
he
shit.
like even doors here, he has to duck his head under. We also have someone on the engineering team who's also like just as tall. And I know I've seen them. Well, actually, I don't think I've seen Ben walk in anything, but I've seen the person on the engineering team walk right into a door because he thought he'd clear it, but didn't quite clear it.
So now he just crab walks through doors. He's like, I'm not falling for it again.
Oh, that's
This isn't
terrifying.
happening. I just created a new fear for you. This is not just umbrellas stabbing you. It's doorways.
Tall people crab walking. That's the fear.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the fear? It's not even doorways. It's just random, like, super tall people crab walking.
Yeah, now I have that image in my head, and I don't like it.
Crab walking is just kind of the natural, like, it's super creepy.
Yeah.
I never thought about that when I was a kid, when you had to do that in gym class. It's just terrifying. But, yeah. So that's about the end of our indie game podcast. That's all about indie games and definitely not about anything else. Thank you guys so much for listening this far. If you did, I'm glad you know some intimate fears of ours. We post this every Friday. We also have different like interviews that we'll be doing with developers that'll most likely post on Mondays. I posted the Greg Lobanov one on Monday. He's a great guy. I really enjoyed that interview, so make sure you guys check that out. It's available on our Spotify feed, on Podbean, and on YouTube. I totally forgot the third one. I knew there was a third one.
You're supposed to never
So,
forget
yeah,
your first.
Right? Yeah, I always just immediately upload it to YouTube and then eventually got it on real podcast services. So I should be able to get this podcast on other podcast services soon as well, like Google Play and iTunes and stuff like that, hopefully. So thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks, Jake, so much for joining me. Josh, it was terrible as always.
Always good.
He's freaking banger talk and making me say fries days and shit.
Always a banger
I just
with
hate
you.
it. It's the worst. I would ask you guys real quick. Last question. Would you say this podcast was a banger, Jake? Was it a banger? Did you really like it?
I'd say it's a certified banger.
Ooh, damn. Certified. That's what I'm talking about.
Eventually, I'm going to put out a physical edition of this podcast, and I'm going to put certified. It's going to be like Rotten Tomatoes, how it's like certified fresh.
Will there be a
It's exciting.
keychain in it? Because only if there's a keychain will I be interested in it.
Yeah, it'll basically be two cartoon versions of us, and then the word banger in between us.
And it's just gonna be like a random like keychain of Jake getting stabbed by an umbrella. Well, that's about it for this podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a great day.